Welcome to Price Point. Today we are looking at JLaw, one of the most interesting traders to study if you want to understand how a disciplined swing trader thinks. He is not famous because of hype or flashy predictions, but because of his process, his patience, and his ability to combine multiple trading advantages into one clean setup. That is really the heart of his method. Instead of relying on a single indicator or a single pattern, he builds trades from several layers of confirmation, which is why his approach is often described as a multiple-edge strategy.
At the center of JLaw's style is the idea that a good trade should have more than one reason to work. He does not simply buy because a stock looks strong or sell because it looks weak. He looks for context first. That means he studies the overall market, the strength of the sector, and the structure of the individual stock before he even thinks about entering. If the broader market is supportive and a stock is leading its sector, then the trade already has one layer of strength. If the price structure also looks clean, then another layer is added.
If volume confirms the move, that is another edge. In his framework, the more quality signals that align, the better the trade becomes. The setup he seems to use most often is a pullback in a strong trend. This is a very practical style because it avoids chasing extended stocks at the top of a move. Instead, he waits for a stock that has already shown leadership to pull back into a support area, often near a moving average or a trend line. The goal is to buy strength after a brief pause, not to guess the bottom of a falling stock. This is a classic swing trading idea, but JLaw's version is more disciplined because he wants the pullback to happen in a stock that is already proving itself. In other words, he prefers a leader that is temporarily resting, not a weak stock trying to recover. What makes this setup powerful is the way he combines price, volume, and market structure. A pullback alone is not enough. A moving average alone is not enough. A stock that bounces on weak volume is not enough. But when a strong stock pulls back into support, holds that area, and then starts to turn back up with better volume and strong market conditions, the setup becomes much more attractive. That is why his method is not about predicting. It is about waiting for evidence. The trade is taken only after the market begins to show that the idea is working. Risk management is another major part of his style, and in some ways, it matters even more than the entry itself. JLaw does not treat risk as an afterthought. He decides where the trade is wrong before he enters, and he sizes the position around that level. This means that if the stop loss is hit, the damage is controlled and small. That kind of thinking is what allows a trader to survive long enough for the strong trades to pay off. A good trading system is not just about winning trades. It is about keeping losses contained so that one bad trade does not undo several good ones. He also appears to be very careful about adding to positions. Rather than averaging down into weakness, he prefers to add only when the trade is already confirming itself. That is a big difference. Many traders add because they hope a weak trade will recover, but JLaw's approach is the opposite. He wants the market to prove him right before he increases exposure. This is a much safer and more professional way to trade because it keeps capital aligned with actual strength, not with hope. Another important part of his method is adaptability. He does not seem to treat every market the same way. In a strong market, he can focus more on long setups. In a choppy or weak market, he becomes more selective and may reduce activity rather than force trades. That flexibility is one of the reasons his method is worth studying. Many traders fail not because their strategy is completely wrong, but because they apply the same approach in every market environment. JLaw's style shows that good trading is partly about knowing when not to trade. If you wanted to summarize his method in one sentence, it would be this. He waits for a strong stock in a strong context to pull back into a defined support area, then enters only when the setup shows multiple signs of strength. That sounds simple, but simplicity is deceptive here. The real skill is in the patience, the preparation, and the discipline to only act when several conditions align. That is why his approach is effective. It removes emotion, cuts down random trades, and keeps the trader focused on quality rather than quantity. The big lesson from JLaw is that trading success is rarely about finding one secret indicator. It is about stacking small advantages.
A strong market, a strong sector, a strong stock, a clean pullback, a clear support level, and controlled risk can all work together. None of them guarantees success by itself, but together they create a repeatable framework. That is what makes his style useful for anyone who wants to trade more professionally.
Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you like such content. See you next time.